Hey, what's up, you guys? It's RP521 here. This is Case Study, where we take on topics and try to figure out both sides of the situation to kind of get a better understanding of it.
Hello, world, and welcome to Case Study On. Today, the case study will be on the problem with Zelina Vegas' release, the American wrestler who was released a couple months ago after WWE was forcing stars to delete any paid content creator accounts, including Twitch, Cameo, and any accounts where the patrons can support the creator directly. We're going to get into it, talk about the unionization that is booming now in the entertainment industry, and how now companies are labeling their workers as independent contractors, but they have no exclusivity rights over themselves. The companies have the rights over them. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, get some viewers, and try to get some back and forth convo on this. Hopefully we can get some people in here. Oh, we got somebody already. All right, let's talk to this young man and see how he feels about the topic.
Yo,
hello.
bro.
What up, bro? Hey, so I'm trying to continue this conversation. We're talking about things that's going on in the wrestling world. Are you aware of what's going on in wrestling? Or do you watch it?
The wrestling? No, I haven't watched wrestling since it converted from WWF to WWE.
All right. So, let me ask you a different question. Are you aware of basically workers now trying to unionize? Like everywhere, everybody's trying to unionize, right?
Right.
All right. So basically, what happened was it was a wrestler named Zelina Vegas who had a bunch of different social accounts, and I guess she was getting support, and they get direct support and financial support from these websites. So WWE took upon themselves to make her. First, they try to take money from her accounts, but then they realized that was illegal, so they just told everybody that they couldn't have no Twitch, Twitter, none of that, right? How do you feel about companies trying to unionize and basically own people just because they work for their company?
Yeah, I don't dig that. I don't smell that shit, because that's like for the type of work that I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do security, and I work for myself. But you can't tell me that if I'm working at this bar that I can only, if they decide to get rid of your contract and they want to keep me, that I can't work there. No, I'm gonna still work. If they paying that bread, I'm gonna take that bread. We just cutting out the middleman there.
How do you handle that? Have you been in a situation like that before?
Yeah, so that actually happened with my old job, where I used to work for a security company, and basically they had that, if we work for them and we had one of these sites or whatever, and let's say we so happens to quit or whatever the situation, or don't work for them no more, that we can't go to we can't work at that site, or we can't work for any of the sites that they have under them. We can't go as a solo contract under them. If so, we would have to. They can sue. So basically, if I try to steal the contract, they can sue.
Basically, they're trying, like I was talking about, they're trying to sneakily call us slaves. Basically, they're trying to get exclusive rights over us, basically over our working. Right. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to say. People have to realize. So let me just play the devil's advocate real quick, and just to keep this conversation pure. Speaking on the behalf of companies who see their employees as independent contractors, I can understand that they might have exclusivity rights in their contract, but technically that means that your employee isn't always able to make funds elsewhere. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not a lawyer, but that doesn't sound legal. But who knows how their contracts are constructed? Nowadays, big companies know how to construct contracts to make you feel like you have power when you really don't. So any loophole or clauses, like you said, that is in the contract it's really not no way to get to it unless you know that loophole and is ready to fight that company. So let's talk about in the people's defense that have to go through this. I feel like even in this pandemic, telling people, superstars, artists, actors that they can't appear on other televised events or do work in other places, just that's not understandable, especially if a person becomes injured or they're unable to work because of their state being in lockdown. You're not making sense for people to understand and buy into it for it to enough for it to stand and hold water. You get what I'm saying? So I can understand if you're saying that if they're saying you can't go to any other place while you're contract under us, if it's going to affect it, if it's going to affect me working for you. Now, if you don't want me to get injured on another job, but you don't want me to be not available for your job because I'm doing another job, that's understandable. But for you to just tell me that I can't do any other thing other than work for you, and I'm still an independent contractor, technically, you get what I'm saying? Right. That's almost like saying, I own you, but you still got to pay for your own stuff. Like, perfect example, I just found out that some truck drivers have to pay for their own gas.
Wow.
Now, you know what's funny? If you ask a truck driver, they'll make it sound like it's a good thing because they're set up, because they feel like it's easier. They can make more of their money back by owning, like they'll say, if you own your own rig, you basically are your own contractor. But in my head, I'm feeling like the company is still getting over because they making you think you're making you think that you're in a position to control how much money you're making when you're still basically, kicking out the same amount of money. Because now, in order to get your freedom, you have to buy gas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Something that's supposed to be provided to you. I don't know. But, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm overlooking a lot of key points. I'm not a lawyer. I've never constructed a contract. I've never made over $50 million in a company and had to run that company and keep it going with employees that may come or go. I don't know what it's like to look at people as only as money signs. I've never been that type. Even when I've done projects, like when you're in school and they tell you to do them group projects, everybody has to pull their own weight, because if not, one person will be stuck doing the project and it's going to bring bad morale. People have to realize morale is still a real thing. Karma is still a real thing. And when these companies like WWE realize, first of all, they should have realized that they can't keep living the way they're living. Look what happened in the first place. When y'all had the name WWF for so long, and you already knew that name belonged to somebody else, they had to sue you to get the name. Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay. For all the listeners out there that didn't know, the wrestling company World Wrestling Federation was changed to World Wrestling Entertainment because WWF really stands for World Wildlife Foundation, a company that's been here way before WWF. The problem was when Vince McMahon, the son, took over the company. What happens when you take over a company, young man? You take in the profits and the exactly. And I guess somebody forgot to tell him, hey, this name isn't ours. You gotta pay. I didn't know that you can pay to borrow certain trademarks, like what they royalties. Do.
You pay
royalties. That's why a lot of people don't realize. That's why Bret Hart had to get his music changed when he went to WCW, because WWE paid for the rights for that song. People don't realize, first of all, WWE puts a lot of money out. See, that's what people have to realize. When you work for a company that is willing to put millions of dollars into you, they will do anything to make sure that that they get that investment back or keep you.
But to tell your so-called independent contractors that he or she cannot use other platforms to promote or to directly support themselves, that's basically like saying you have exclusivity over that person in every way. Even if they're not using your trademark name you've given them, you're stripping away the chance of an opportunity to engage and entertain the fans that love and adore them so much. Especially when you're not using the superstar for anything other than backstage fodder. We've seen countless times of superstars that could be used in multiple ways, but you want to use them for crazy segments, like having EC3 randomly chase after the 24/7 title, and you wonder why superstars want to do other things if they're not being used. That's like companies who have been trying a while to implement rules against social media and the posts you make on them. So basically what you do out of work is being watched and monitored. They're basically like legally owning slaves that are at least allowed to go home. But to take away the choice of someone being able to have platforms that people can choose to support is wrong. Morally, and in my opinion, it is overlooked. But it is a major problem that has to be addressed. I hope you guys enjoyed this case study. Thank you to our guests for joining. Thank you for all your input. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for sharing your outlook and your experience with the situation. Again, we were talking about the release of Zelina Vegas, how controversial it was, and the bigger picture on companies trying to have exclusivity rights over their workers. Thank you. I hope this opened your mind and allowed you to look at things in a different way. Thank you for joining this episode. See you guys next time on Case Study.